Our next guest has worked as a fitter machinist, played guitar and sang nightly to his children as they went off to sleep, and now Graham Howle is touring Australia via caravan full-time as an independent artist, singing his stories to people far and wide across Australia, and he's in the studio right now. Graham, g'day.
Simon, how are you, mate?
I'm really well. Really great that you could drop by, because you, just looking at your website and your list of dates, you're a very busy fella.
Yes, and we, yes. I don't know that website's up to date, but I mentioned to Chris before when we were speaking. Over the next 42 weeks, there's 175 gigs booked, and that blew me away a little bit when I counted them up last night. So my wife is very busy booking my shows, and still a few spots to fill. So when I told her that I wanted to be on the road and work hard, so she's making sure that I do that.
I reckon. And you'll be working hard at Chura Beach Country Club tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m, and right, Saturday night at the Delegate Hotel.
Yep.
Have you been around this part of New South Wales before?
Never. And the reason we are here is because I about 20 years ago, I got as far as Bateman's Bay. And anyway, I always wanted to travel right around, down this area, around the Great Ocean Road. And I'd never been to Melbourne, so I'll be in Melbourne in January. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's good. It's beautiful country here, just beautiful country, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, Graham. So is your wife travelling with you in the van?
Yes, yeah, because I was travelling a lot on my own, and we were just about to buy another property. We're farmers, so I said, well, if we buy another property, I'm just going to set you up and do the bolt again. So I said, how about we have a break from farming and we go on the road? So she was a bit apprehensive at first. She said if she had to go on the road, she'd jump off a bridge if she had to live out of a caravan. But she quite likes it now, and it's not as hard as farming, and we're having a ball, yeah.
Yeah, and of course the setup, the rig you take with you when you're travelling on the road for a long time is all important. Did you have any special tweaks that you made to the van? Or
well, there was a definite criteria that the van needed. So it's an older van, but it just has everything. It's fully set up to go camping up the bush for weeks on end, and separate shower, separate toilet. So it's our home. The big one was, I found about 50 vans, but we looked for about 6 months, and Teresa come up with 2, and everything was based around the kitchen because she loves her cooking. So yeah, it's all sorted. We're good.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of being all sorted, I can see your wife has done an amazing job. You've got gigs booked right up till September next year.
Yes.
How long have you been on the road already?
8 months.
Wow.
8 months. So yeah, and it's been an interesting. It's just interesting because you don't have all the answers when you go on the road. You have a bit of a plan,
yep.
But it's working out, or it's far exceeding my expectations of how it was going to go. So and it is. We both work hard, but Teresa is relentless. She is. Some of the venues have said, I can't believe your wife's persistence. They said she never goes away, and it's like, no, she doesn't. She just wants a yes or a no. Are you going to book me or not?
Well, it sounds like if she wants a longer break from farming, she could take up a new role there, working.
Well, she's talking about. She has a massive database, so she is looking at taking on other artists down the track. So yeah, as an agent.
Well, Graham, I'm sure you got some stories to tell from your time on the road, but I reckon we should hear some of your music now. You launched your debut album, Man with a Story, a few years ago. Are we going to hear something from that? Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do Keepers of the Land. It's the number 1 track off the album, and this one went to number 4 on one of the Australian country music charts. So, Keepers of the Land. Boy was born on a Pilliga farm where Camilla people used to roam. His mom and dad give him all they had, a place to live right and call home. And he lived and learned, and he won and he lost, and he held close all of his clan. But his dad said, son, we will never have it won, while we're the only keepers of the land. Bo grew tall and Bo grew strong. The farm made money, but the days were long. He followed his intentions and his father's dreams, kept the bureaucratic hands from underground streams. Brother farm raised cattle and a family. He built himself a little house neath the ironbark trees. Whatever needed doing was where he turned his hand, and he became the keeper of his father's land. And the man had fists like 9-pound hammers, open hands like dinner plates. His dad was a holy man, aiming for the promised land. He'd rise with the sun and work late. And he always told Bo, son, you gotta have a go. Don't be afraid to get some dirt upon your hands, and go up against machines to keep the waters running clean, 'cause we're the only keepers of the land. Now the word got around that the drillers hit town. The boys blocked the road, prepared to go a few rounds. They headed for the scrub to drill for gas, paid by the meter, so they tried to pass. Yeah, but Bo stood his ground, said you ain't going round, no matter what you think you got planned. They had a look at his height, then they kinda thought twice about going round the keepers of the land. And the man had fists like 9-pound hammers, open hands like dinner plates. His dad was a holy man, aiming for the promised land. He'd rise with the sun and work late. And he always told Bo, son, you gotta have a go. Don't be afraid to get some dirt upon your hands, and go up against machines to keep the waters running clean, 'cause we're the only keepers of the land. So when black and white come together in a fight, united we all join hands, and we use our voice to try and make a noise against greed and all of its plans. And if it looks corrupt, don't be afraid to rise up with your fellow woman, child, and man, and go up against machines to keep the waters running clean, 'cause we're the only keepers of the land. And the man had fists like 9-pound hammers, open hands like dinner plates. His dad was a holy man, aiming for the promised land. He'd rise with the sun and work late. And he always told Bo, son, you gotta have a go. Don't be afraid to get some dirt upon your hands, and go up against machines to keep the waters running clean, 'cause we're the only keepers of the land. Yeah, go up against machines to keep the waters running clean, 'cause we're the only keepers of the land. The people are the keepers of the land. Yeah, we've always been the keepers of the land.
Fantastic. Live on ABC Southeast, Graham Howle, Keepers of the Land, off his album Man with a Story, and Graham playing some gigs around the Southeast in the next couple of days. Chura Beach Country Club tomorrow night, 7:30, and Delegate Hotel Saturday night. Graham, fantastic message and lyrics in that song, obviously referencing, the coal seam gas and the Lock the Gate movement.
Yeah, thanks for that. It got my attention. I guess I'm not against jobs or creating jobs or big companies, and the rest of it. But it got my attention because there were certain companies bullying, some regional areas out west of Tamworth and out around the Narrabri, Boggabri area. So out in the Pilliga, and it just. I just don't think it's right to start with. But it was great to see the community, and it was sometimes when there's divisions between the indigenous communities and farming and other areas, it was great to see everybody just came together. The Aboriginal community, the farmers, and the township just came together and pushed back against bullying tactics of big business at the time. So I just thought it was great to see. And from another point of view, like I'm a farmer, have been all my life, but I'm not stupid. I know that if we don't look after our water and our water systems, that they will suffer a lot, and they already are suffering. So, yeah, that's where it come from.
And so you're a farmer out there yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been farming all my life. Grew up on dairy and beef farms, and as I said, we took a bit of a break from farming. In my later life now, I just it's mainly hobby farming. We raise sheep and grow vegetables, market gardens and things like that. But so a smaller scale. But regardless, farming's farming and agriculture's agriculture, and you just need to look after the resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham, I just don't know if you met Felicity Dowd. She's here on work experience this week at ABC Southeast. Felicity is also an accomplished young musician herself. She's been performed at the Tamworth Country Music Festival. Felicity, I wondered if you had any questions for Graham.
Yeah, I do actually. So when I leave school, I'm planning on having a gap year and travelling around and doing gigs and that. I was just wondering, how did you get started into it at first? Was it hard or?
So the travelling side of things?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is difficult. The big thing, Felicity, is especially when people haven't heard of you before. So to keep it condensed, what I have found, and I'm in the process now of improving what I'm about to say. Your online profile is massive. So you need to, you're trying to get to people that have never heard you before. So your online profile is big, and what I mean by that, they need to see you performing fairly stripped back type music, so just acoustic and you, but your sound is big. So I'll talk to you after this a little bit more, but invest a small amount of money into some equipment that will give you a quality sound through your online presence, and then the other thing. So you write songs?
Yeah.
Cool. Your best friend, and it took me a long time to learn this, and I was dead against singing cover songs. I was one of these people that wanted to go out and just sing my own music, and there are artists out there who refuse to sing cover songs, and they just want to sing their own music. Open yourself up. Your greatest friend will be your best cover songs, and I'll explain more about that later. But the listener, the humans out there, they're a funny bunch, and you need to people like what they've already heard. They like familiarity, and if you can really nail a couple of good cover songs and something that they like and they've heard before and do it well, it opens their minds up. It just opens their minds up, and they will want to hear your music. But you need, so study the listener. People are funny creatures, and we fall into that category, but study people and study the listener. So great cover songs, nail them.
Yeah, great, thanks.
How's that, Felicity? That's the probably the most practical, pragmatic advice that I've heard someone give in answer to a question like that.
I study this stuff. It's my life, now it's my life. And I'm serious about it. To me, it's a challenge. It's not about being. I'm not searching for any sort of greatness. But if I pursue something, then I want to understand it, and I want to do it right. And it's not like a lot of other things. This is an area where it's not just up to you. It's up to the people out there that you're delivering to. And one other little thing. There's a lot of people that try to get in between you and your music. Just keep one thing in mind always. Your market is the people. So it's just between you and the people. And radio is a great thing. because radio delivers your music to the people. But just keep that in mind. It's always just between you and the people. No one really in the middle matters that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it from a man who's doing 175 gigs in the space of 42 weeks. Graham Howle joining us here on ABC Southeast, chatting with Felicity Dowd, who was in the studio as well. And a couple of those gigs, Chura Beach Country Club tomorrow night and Delegate Hotel Saturday night. You are listening to ABC Southeast. Now, coming up on your radio after 10 o'clock, Daniel Doody talking real estate with local agent Rob Flynn, and pitching your business idea can be pretty intimidating. So your chance to watch others and get some tips from the Bega Innovation Hub. Plenty coming up on your radio after 10 o'clock. But Graham, let's hear more of your music now. You've got a song. Is this song about a brewer?
Well, I guess it is about a brewer, but the brewer started out as a convict on the First Fleet. And if I can briefly describe where the song come from, it's called James Squire. So most beer drinkers anyway, have heard of James Squire, the beer.
Yep.
Well, I challenged myself one day to write a song in 2 hours, and I was sitting having a beer, and I thought, well, what am I going to write about? And I looked at my beer, and it was 150 lashes, and I thought, I'm going to write about James Squire. So 2 hours I set myself. 9 hours later, I was still researching. This was 4 years ago, and I finished the song 6 months ago. So it was a massive fail, but it's okay. It was a challenge because I don't believe I don't believe your best work can be written in 2 hours.
Well, I hope we've left you enough time to get the full force of that inspiration out as well. Graham Howle live on your radio. Catch him at the Country Club in Chura and the Delegate Hotel later this week. Thanks so much, Graham.
Thank you very much for having me. James Squire was 20 when arrested as a thief. He earned himself a ticket on the mighty First Fleet, and after 7 years he said the convict brand. And they gave him 30 acres of the great southern land. James Squire was a randy little bugger, and he had a lot of lovers, so he had a lot of kids to a lot of different mothers. A butcher and a baker, he was always in trouble. He ran a tavern in town called the Malting Shovel. He was a charming rogue, never had a lot of fear. He learned to grow hops and he made good beer. With the governor's help, smuggled seed on a boat. Kept the Poms in beer and the colony afloat. James Squire was a randy little bugger, and he had a lot of lovers, so he had a lot of kids to a lot of different mothers. A butcher and a baker, he was always in trouble. He ran a tavern in town called the Malting Shovel. James became a copper, wore a badge for the crown, a poor man's friend on old Sydney town, a man of the people with community mind. Another pommy reject, a great Aussie find. With beers like Chancer and Mid-River Ale, 150 lashes and the old nine tails, crushed apple cider and hop thief swindler. Dark Jack with spades and the Four Wives Pilsner. James Squire was a randy little bugger, and he had a lot of lovers, so he had a lot of kids to a lot of different mothers. A butcher and a baker, he was always in trouble. He ran a tavern in town called the Malting Shovel. Well, his time ran out and he went toes up, and as a mark of respect his pub never shut. It was the biggest funeral ever held in town, and they were drinking his beer when they lowered him down.